Okay, hi Tal. Great seeing you on the
Hi,
call.
Andre.
Hey, how are
Same
you?
here. Perfect, as always.
Awesome, awesome. So today I have the pleasure of having Tal in the call. I got to learn about you, Tal, through your LinkedIn post. I've been following you for a while, and I found especially interesting your work as a VP sales as a service, right? Which is something I would say not super common in the sales space. So why don't you share a little bit about what you do to the people watching us?
With pleasure. So I started my sales career about 23 years ago, all the way from the ground up. I started as a combination of an SDR and AE, doing software sales out of Israel to the United States. And I slowly moved up through the ranks. I became a regional director of several countries, then a global sales director, then VP global sales. And 15 years into my career, I recognized the following very obvious fact. There are many companies out there, it doesn't matter which one, software, manufacturing, that are managing to come up with a product. They have a software, they have a tomato or dental implant, it doesn't matter what. But 9 out of 10 of those companies are going to go bankrupt. It's a fact. They're going to shut down. They have the money, they raised funds, they developed something great, and they're going under. The main reason why they're going under is lack of sales. They don't know what to sell. A lot of them are in the mindset that the product is so great it's going to sell itself. A lot of them, especially young founders or tech founders, engineers, have no idea what sales are, so they don't know whom to hire. And even if they will, let's say it's a US based company, they have no idea what is their target market. Their initial assumptions are often wrong. They can't identify who's their optimal target audiences, which country they're in, none of that. The option is to bring a decent, senior, seasoned VP sales. Now, somebody like that, on average, in the States or in the EU, is going to cost around $300,000. Many companies, especially young startups, either don't have that kind of money or they don't want to invest that kind of money. Even if they do and they hire someone, let's say they hire them, they spend 30, 60K on recruiting and bringing that person in. A month into the job, they don't like the person. They want to get rid of him. Now they have to give them a month of notice. They do. And let's say 3 months into the process, they spent over $100,000 with zero results. That's what I come to answer. I come in as a fractional VP sales and I say, listen, at start, you don't need a full time VP. Nobody's going to be working for you 10 hours a day. That's ridiculous and unneeded. Your first steps are to come up with a strategy. Where are we going to sell? How are we going to sell it? If you're in the United States, maybe we need to open a local subsidiary in Germany and hire people there. Maybe we need to start in Japan or in China or in Ukraine. We don't know yet. We don't know what it's going to involve. So that first step is relatively cheap and doesn't require a full-time VP. That's about the first month of my job. That's what I do. Month one. Month two, we already have a plan of what is it that we're going to be doing. Where are we going to be selling and how? We see the budget that we'll need. At this point, I'll say to the company, listen, either you recruit people in-house, like I need a sales manager for the UK, a sales manager for the US, and a sales manager for Germany. And obviously, I need marketing materials and relevant languages and a website. Or let's just outsource all of that. I have my in-house people to do all of that. So I am not only a VP sales, fractional one, I also come up with an entire team. That way, a company doesn't need to do any recruitment, any doesn't need to be bringing anyone on board. And on average, I'm not going to say that I'm cheap, but I cost about a quarter. This entire operation costs less than a quarter of what it would cost on average if you do it in house. So that's the solution. That's what I do. Seems there's a huge demand for it, especially in Israel, especially in the United States, a little bit in the Nordics and the EU, definitely in Asia. Once again, mostly because people understand the need for business and sales consulting at the VP level. Somebody who can come in and do a hands-on and not just console them, but literally take the sales and do that for them. That's what I do.
I see. Very interesting. So, would you say that there is a specific type of clients that approach you, right? Specific industries, or is really, let's say, horizontal in a sense?
So when it comes to industry, I work with pretty much everyone.
Mhm.
Sure, the vast majority of my customers are tech related. It's software, hardware, IoT, SaaS, etc. But I also work with various others, traditional manufacturing, medical equipment, agriculture. So no, there isn't that much. The only thing that they do have in common is they have a problem with sales. They're struggling. They don't know why, or maybe even a step before that, before they start struggling, they understand that they need a professional. They need somebody else to do it for them. Their job is to develop a product, have a product, manufacture it, deliver it to customers on time. Sales, they want someone else to be dealing with.
I see. Very interesting. Okay. So you've been doing this for a while now. I could imagine that the demand, right, you mentioned that is really increasing the demand for fractional VP sales. So, how do you see the role of the VP sales evolving then? Do you feel we're going towards more and more the fractional type of model, or what's your take on this?
So it mostly depends on the size of the company. At some point, it makes sense for a company to have people in house, doesn't matter whom. You need to have your own in-house marketing. You need to be having your in-house VP sales, your own CMO, your own CFO. You must. The problem is that if you're early into your journey, you don't have the money for that, and
Too
you
expensive.
don't know whom to hire. You don't. If your job is to write code and you wrote this amazing piece of software for universities, you don't know what marketing is. You don't know how to market this. So what, you're going to bring a full-time VP marketing to market where? You understand that perhaps your market is in Japan. So maybe you need to bring somebody from Japan, but maybe your market is in Germany. So then you need the Germans. So which one is it? Who will know? So much later into the journey, when you do have a roadmap and you know what are your steps, which markets you're going to be taking on, why, which fragments, which sections, which industries, which verticals, how are you going to approach them? Where are the salespeople? Once all of that is clear and understood, you'll know how to manage your budget in the next 5 years. But till then, fractional is the optimal solution.
Actually, something that you really talk about a lot, Tal, which is quite uncommon, I must say, is the entire, looking at the geography, right? The areas where you're selling, which is something
Mhm.
that, I really started following you for. Um, that's a topic that I would say it's should be basic, right? Where you're selling is so important, but a lot of people tend to overlook, right? Is what I've seen, right? In your opinion?
Absolutely. So the second you start a company, once you come up with a product, your first initial thought, if you don't have that global sales mindset, would be to focus on domestic market. Often that domestic market is either overcrowded, the competition is bad, or the regulation is not in your favor, or it costs a lot of money to penetrate the market, or the market isn't willing to pay you the optimal price. And then all it takes is if you look outside, you realize that the world is vast, huge, and it's so much easier, might be, to sell in other countries, and you'll get more money for your product or services. And all it takes is someone who knows how to get you to that market.
Yeah, and that it's the conversation about the where you sell. I mean, it's part of the something that we always hear about, for instance, which is the ICP, right? What's your ideal customer profile? Where is it? What's the size of the company? What are the challenges that that these people, this persona are facing? So In your experience, what would you say are the most common, probably the most common three challenges that new companies are facing when it comes to growing their revenue?
So challenge number one is obviously defining the ICP. When you come up with a product, you have that ideal customer in your mind. The problem is that it is only in your mind. That isn't backed up by anything. For example, if you know CFOs in American insurance companies and you know that they have a need, you develop this product for them. Okay. How do you know that a CFO in German factory won't pay you triple the price for that? How do you know what kind of problems are they facing? How do you know who else is in that market and how are they priced? So that entire narrow-mindedness is tricking you to fail right from the start. You start with the wrong ICP. Second problem, the biggest one, is a huge focus of companies on their own product and their own features. This is what we do. Here's what we have. They don't know what is the need. Just because you developed something and you think that that's what the market needs, doesn't necessarily make it true. The third problem is managing the budget. If right now you got $1 million, the vast majority of companies are going to take that $1 million and put all of it into development. They'll say, listen, the more of the product we have, the better it is, the more feature it has, the easier it is to sell. Some will say, sure, let's split it 80-20. Put the 20 into a Facebook campaign. Obviously, that's wrong. Obviously, you understand that the way you split the budget, you need to be thinking about sales and marketing and business development, I would say, way before you have a product. Why? If you have an idea for a product, you first need to understand the markets. What are the needs? What are they willing to pay for it? How much are they willing to pay for it? What are the features they're asking for? What is it that those would be the top three, I'd say.
So it's to me really there is a common theme here, which is not being able to look at your product, your services from a consumer perspective, right? We just look. A lot of companies tend to look inward, like this is what I do, this is what I provide. The solution will find the problem to solve by itself, right? Which is very often not the case. So how do you go about having this shift in mindset, right? From thinking about what you are doing towards actually changing and looking at what the consumers need. How do you go through that mindset change with the clients you work with?
I strongly believe that you cannot change anyone's mindset. You cannot.
Okay.
Adults in the 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s, they have their minds set. You will never change that. A good opportunity would be when somebody failed once or twice, looked back and learned from their mistakes. Now they're at the correct mindset. Once somebody raised $1 million, burned through it, ran out of money, and now they say, oh, what can we do better and different now? That's a good mindset. But once somebody got that $1 million and they say, listen, we're going to put it all in development, you'll never change their mind. You simply can't because they say, it's my company, it's my product. I know better. For example, the example that I always use is imagine three founders and they're software developers, they're engineers, they write code. If you would come as a salesman and say, guys, let me write the code for you, I'll write it better. They'll laugh in your face. They'll say, we're software developers, we know how to write code. So then you can say, you write code, you don't know much about sales. So why don't you leave that to me? With some, it works, especially with those that are not pompous and full of themselves, but very rarely, because that's a very rare type of persona.
It's about the mindset, right? Are you able to acknowledge what you're lacking, right? And I guess you could also say that the companies and people who approach you they already have the right mindset in a sense because they are already at the step where they acknowledge that they need help, right?
Yep,
So yeah,
absolutely.
which I think is great. Is definitely the right starting point.
Yeah,
So
I never convince people. I never try to convince people or change them in any kind of way. If you know that you need my services, perfect. Not specifically mine, but a type of service that I provide, great. If you don't and you think that you can do better somehow else, I'm not going to try and change that.
it's about finding the and I would say in sales in general, it's not about hard selling, pushing people to buy stuff, but it's just guiding them into making the decision that suit their needs, right, and suit their mindset, right. I totally agree with you that mindset cannot really be changed. Yeah, sometimes we have some situations, you're going through a failure, and if you have, it takes guts, right, to recognize and to acknowledge that something needs to be done.
So I just wrote an article about this, claiming a responsibility,
Mhm.
saying I failed, it was my fault. Let me look back and see what I did wrong. That almost does not exist because once a company fails, or founders or CEOs fail, a CEO will never say, "Guys, I'm quitting. I failed. I'm gonna go." No, he'll say the product was bad, salespeople were bad, the marketing was inefficient, and so on and so forth. So, yeah,
It's like if I succeed, I succeeded. If I fail, you failed,
you
right?
failed. Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
sometimes the attitude.
yeah. That's the
Yeah.
attitude.
Yeah, so I think we need to acknowledge that some things will not change, right? We are still there tackling the fundamentals in a sense for the majority of clients. I mean that stays right. It's about getting the fundamentals right, and the rest takes care of itself. So actually, Tal, I would like to get your perspective on everything that is happening now with AI, new tools, ChatGPT. I mean, we've been talking about that a lot. How is that going to affect the certain sales positions, right, certain services like the fractional business sales, for example, in the future? How do you see these changes affecting how we do sales, say from now to the next 10 years?
So I am a very big fan of technology and I keep up with all the newest trends. The second something new comes up, new AI, new tool, I'm in it. I'm involved with several startups doing AI. Big fan. I see the potential. We're not there yet, meaning that there's a huge article right now about a lawyer that used ChatGPT and it wrote him this whole case, but it was completely bogus, and the case failed. So ChatGPT is a nice tool, maybe for marketing, maybe for like blog posts or something like that. It's not gonna replace intelligence, like intelligent human being and experience. It will not. We're not there yet. It might. I see how it might, but we're not there yet. There's a bunch of other tools, but tools, by the definition of the word, tools is something to be used by someone. The more tools you have, the lazier people become. If you're a lazy person and you don't see the need to educate yourself to get proper experience, you say, why do I need to know? Why do I need to learn? There's something for me. There's a famous Gary Vaynerchuk video where it's like, why would I need to know who were the American presidents? Here, check this out. It says, Alexa, who was the 40th president of the United States? So basically, you're saying that you need to be illiterate and uneducated because why would you get any knowledge? Everything's online. That is perfect. That will kill my competition. It will eliminate all the procrastinators and all the low level guys because that's what they think. They think, I don't need education. I don't need experience. I don't need to know anything. All I need to know is how to use a tool. Now, that's very much wrong. Okay. If I give you a toolbox right now, and the toolbox will have a screwdriver, a hammer, some nails, some screws, and I'll say, go fix my laundry machine. What? I just have a toolbox. I don't know how to do that. So you'll say, okay, Google how to fix a laundry machine. What do you mean how? That depends on the malfunction. What's the malfunction? So you don't know. So not AI and not the tools and not Google or Alexa or no one is gonna help you if you don't know a lot. Not basics, but a lot. And our age, only the top will succeed. Once again, because those tools will eliminate the bottom.
So it's about having the tools, right? Knowing how to use the tool, right? And then, because I totally agree with you, right? Tools need to be used by someone. In itself, they don't solve anything, right? You need the right person. So you need to have the tool, know how to use them, and then use them properly, right? I think the most interesting example I saw recently is some outbound email written by ChatGPT, and it's you see that it's missing the mark on many points.
I played with ChatGPT for both outbound emails, LinkedIn messages, titles, headlines, you name it. Not once was it any decent. It misses the point. Once you teach it how to do things right, you'll be very good at it. But I don't know, we're not there yet. So let's see.
Perfect. So Tal, we cover a bunch of topics. Thanks so much for sharing on
My
this,
pleasure.
sharing your experience as a fractional VP sales. Go follow Tal Paperin on LinkedIn. Super interesting content. He talks about a lot of challenges in a very direct way. You never sugarcoat things. Maybe it's also the Israeli style, right? Very direct.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But that's straight to the point, and I love that. So thanks so much for the conversation, and be in touch.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
My pleasure.